Dunnet Head is the most northerly point on mainland Britain and lies to the east of Thurso in Caithness. Its most prominent feature is the Lighthouse. The Northern Lighthouse Board commissioned 3 new lighthouses in 1829, with one of these to be situated on the northern Caithness coast. The Pentland Firth was a notoriously difficult waterway to pass through, and many ships had been wrecked on rocks around the coastline. In addition, many boats were beached at Dunnet Bay, mistaking it for a safe haven, but its waters were too shallow for the vessels. It was hoped the lighthouse would reduce these losses. Completed in 1831, it was designed by Robert Stephenson, the famed civil engineer, whose greatest achievement was the building of the Bell Rock Lighthouse, 12 miles off the coast of Arbroath in Angus, in 1811. The Dunnet Lighthouse was his 12th project, and less arduous than the Bell Rock. He worked with contractor James Smith of Inverness, and the lighthouse took shape on a cliff top at Easter Head, around 300 feet above sea level, and only 50 feet from its edge. It was a simplified standard lighthouse with a short tower, built on a semicircular base with a corbelled parapet and cast iron balustrade. It was painted white and maintained by the Northern Lighthouse Board. Inside there were 51 steps to the top, with 9 ladder steps to the very top of the tower. There was a semicircular domed diamond-paned lantern, with the light seen around 23 miles away. 2 single-storey keepers' cottages in the Egyptian style were built nearby, and there was a walled garden for them to grow vegetables to supplement their diet. The lighthouse and houses were enclosed by a rubble wall. The light was officially switched on Saturday, 1st October, 1831. The life of a keeper was hard, especially after dusk, when they had to keep watch to make sure the light was flashing correctly. Although isolating, the keepers at Dunnet at least were not too far from civilization, unlike those at Cape Wrath in Sutherland, for example, who had a 12-mile trek to get the ferry across to Dunnet. They also had an important job to do, keeping an eye on vessels in the Firth. One example of this was when the hull trawler Dorby ran ashore on Orkney in January 1932 during a gale. The keepers helped the Long Hope lifeboat find it by transmitting her signals. All 11 survived the incident. In another, the Thurso lobster boat Begonia never returned to the harbour in April 1937. The following day, the assistant lighthouse keeper John Lamond spotted something white floating on the water. This turned out to be the upturned boat floating eastward on the tide. The 3 crewmen, skipper Ben Mackenzie, a widower, his brother Donald Mackenzie, who lived with their aged mother, and Donald MacLeod, were all lost at sea. In 1852, the light was changed to a combination of lenses and reflectors. This was known as the dioptric system. Once, during a heavy storm, it was reported that waves hit the cliffs and swamped the lighthouse. Occasionally at such times, stones have also been thrown up by these huge waves and broken the glass in the windows. Combined with heavy seas, the strong winds also caused issues. The lighthouse would shake from top to bottom as if it were affected by an earthquake. It was expensive to build Dunnet Head Lighthouse, especially as a small harbour had to be constructed for the keepers at nearby Brough, where their provisions and supplies were dropped off. The road to the lighthouse also increased costs. In 1899, a new fog signal, as it was known, was built. It was plagued by issues, especially the erosion of the cliffs, and was abandoned. A new fog signal replaced it, but was placed nearer the lighthouse. A third foghorn was established in 1952, but hasn't been in use since 1987. The lighthouse became automated on 31st March 1989 and is remotely monitored from Edinburgh. The lighthouse flashes every 30 seconds and its brightness is the equivalent of over 140,000 candles. When Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, stayed in Caithness on her annual holiday at the Castle of May, she was given a number of tours of the lighthouse. Her last visit was in October 1979, when the principal keeper, Mr. Malcolm, showed her round for the last time, and she had tea with him and his family. She also met the other keepers and their families. Dunnet Head Lighthouse and the keepers' houses were Category B listed by Historic Environment Scotland on 28 November 1984. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.